How's it going, everyone? Data here, and welcome back to the Vancouver Canucks franchise mode here at NHL 24. Moving into the second half of year number 9 here in the 2031-32 regular season. In the last one, we kicked off the first half of year number 9 as defending Stanley Cup champions and had a ridiculous pace at the halfway point. 32-7-2 is our record to give us a 64 win pace. 64-14-4 would be our record. At the same time, we're also second in the league in goals for, second in least most goals against. We have a power play in the middle of the pack and the 4th best penalty kill as well. So things are firing on all cylinders. As the title of last episode said, we have not skipped a beat. When it comes to our scoring, Frederick Lundqvist now in his 3rd season, the final year of his ELC. He has his big $12 million extension kicking in next year. He is on pace for 66 goals and 116 points, which would be an even greater step up after great rookie and sophomore seasons as well. 72-79, now on pace for 116. Incredible stuff from Frederick Lundqvist. I think a lot of that success is due to another part of the Swedish Meatballs line, and that's Stefan Markstrom, the Silver Surfer, on pace for 100 points here at the halfway mark. He has as many points right now as he had assists last season. 63 points last year with the 17 whatever of ice time. So this year we said, no, hold on. Yes, he had 91 points 2 years ago with 1750 of ice time, but last year, second line minutes were not enough. Let's give him first line minutes, and bang, almost 22 minutes per night, and it's paying off as he is on a 100-point pace. Quinn Hughes, our captain, also on a 90-point pace. He loves playing top pair with Quinn Hughes. So although he's been having good 70-plus point seasons, 90 points would be his best since 2025-26. So Quinn Hughes, keep it up, buddy. Great from him as well. Elias Pettersson, who we bumped down to second-line center. After winning the Conn Smythe, we said, we'll give you second-line center, but first unit power play, first unit penalty kill. Still playing almost 19 minutes per night. And hey, he's on pace for 86 points. Pretty similar to what he was doing last season, and that is fine by me. Lekaramäki, part of that Swedish Meatballs line on the top line, and he's just over point per game on an 80-point pace. Aatu Räty on the second line is on the pace for a career high after he set a career high last season of 65. This year now on pace for 72, so keep it up as well. Love to see that top 6 thriving. Noah Dobson, 27 points, a step down from last year's crazy pace. That's okay by me. Can't always be, he had 35 and 40 with us last year. Now he's 27 and 41. I'm not going to cry over that. He's an even better plus minus. No problem by me. 27 for, what, a 54-point pace? That is fine by me again. Now, somewhere where we're seeing a little bit of trouble in the top 6 would be Owen Tippett. He's been so consistent for us ever since he got here. 60, 68, 62, Mr. 60 when it comes to the point scoring. But this year, only 23 points in 41 games. That's a 46-point pace. I want to see him finish at least in the mid-50s, you would think. So the power play points are down, but the ice time is the same as always. I'm surprised to see that he's not having as much success. I suppose it's because he doesn't have Stefan Markstrom as his center anymore, but we got to find a way to get him going despite that change for his centerman. Stefan Arvidsson has been a big surprise for us. 80 overall, low elite, 4th round pick of the Coyotes in 2025. We picked him up kind of just as depth for the AHL last season, but this year he grew a little bit. We said, hey, let's try him out since he has 5-star puck skills, 98 passing, and he is on, look at that, a 34-point pace. So for an 80 overall rookie, that's not too shabby. Playing big minutes as well, 21 minutes per night for the young Stefan Arvidsson, another Swede in the lineup. There you have it. Of course, that's why. So Arvidsson has been impressing, but the money that he wants as a result of those numbers is ridiculous. We'll get into that in a moment. Michael Rasmussen, 16 points on pace for 32. Dylan Montoya, rookie season on pace for 28. Tiyupkin has been a very big disappointment. He wasn't doing well in the 3rd line, so we kind of bumped him down to the 4th, playing 9.5 minutes per night. It's hard to succeed when you're having that little ice time, but still 24-point pace. He's 19. Is he ever going to grow from 80? Even if we gave him that ice time to do so, it's a tough question mark in franchise mode. But Colson 12, Goldman 10, Hronek 9 with a plus 10, no problem, even if he's not the big 50-point guy that he once was with Quinn Hughes, or 43, 45. It is definitely a step down to see him on a pace of 23 points over an 82-game season, but at the same time, he allows Quinn Hughes to do what he does so well. Ice time down a little bit with power play and all that, but he's still eating 22.5 per night. Christian Wallace, one of our rookies on the team as well this season, 7 points in 41 games for the young defenseman. He's grown from an 80 to an 81. We're going to bump his ice time a little bit in this episode, as you'll see in a moment. One of the prospects we got back in the Evan Bouchard deal with the Chicago Blackhawks. so good to see. Hannafin, 5 points for the veteran. Bouillon, 4 points in 10 games. Another subject that we'll touch upon. And Raphael Beaulieu on the 4th line, 4 points as the enforcer. Lebedev, 1 goal in 7 games. Goaltending now, Hunter Jones is 26-7-2 with 5 shutouts, 918 save percentage, and 2.54 goals against average for our now he didn't think he would be, but he's turned into our long-term starter now. 1, 2, 3, 4. He's been playing parts now of his 5th season in Vancouver. So we love to see that consistency. Rainer Muller, the rookie, 6-0, but an 899 save percentage and 3.06 goals against. So not as great, but he is a 79 overall. But good to see that he has a perfect record so far. So there's a little recap on the year that has been so far, if you're not fully caught up. As defending Stanley Cup champions, this is one of the best post-Stanley Cup seasons I've ever had in franchise mode, I think, in my memory. At least as GM. Sometimes we do president of hockey ops and we sim for, 15, 20 years. But as GM, moving into a season after a cup, very impressive to be on a 64-win pace. Now, as I said, pretty much the only issue was a bit of a lacking power play percentage. So what I did was one small change here. Owen Tippett was playing as the left wing there, as a right-handed shot on unit number 1. Instead of doing that, let's put Lekaramaki on unit 1. Lundqvist is the finisher, so maybe just Tippett wasn't getting finishing opportunities. We'll put Tippett on the second unit, but make him the finisher. So maybe that will, and playing with Markstrom as well. So hopefully that does something for his scoring pace. Ratu will swap from being at the point to come down to play on the wing. Rasmussen will be removed from the power play, and Christian Wallace will join the second unit of the power play as an offensive defenseman. 91 passing. We've got to get him a little bit more ice time. I think that's a perfect opportunity for him. So Wallace and Arvidsson will be the 2 defensemen here. Tippett, Markstrom, Ratu as second unit power play. With no other changes to make in the lineup just yet. Actually, if we go back to the 5-on-5 lines here, we've seen Podkolzin move up to the 3rd line, but he's on the same pace as Tyupkin, who's on the 4th line. It might make sense to try Tyupkin back on the 3rd line a little bit, but really deep down I'm thinking, should Owen Tippett see the 3rd line even if he's struggling that much? We still have about 20 games until the trade deadline, so we can see what happens between now and then. But if things don't pick up for, a little bit of Montoya, a little bit of Rasmussen, a little bit of Tyupkin maybe, I would be very tempted to bring in some sort of middle 6 scorer, bump down Tippett, bump down Podkolzin, scratch Beaulieu or something like that, and bring in a player. We saw a few names on the trade blocks. Alex Texier, Philip Heidel. That could be someone who comes in and slots in as a second liner, middle 6, top 6 kind of guy. And that could be a guy that we bring in as some insurance scoring if we're not liking how things are looking by the deadline. But all that being said, let's dive into what the assistant general managers had to say in the last one. Not too much, but a lot that echoed my thoughts I just gave here. And we'll go ahead and start off with Gavin, who said, "Love a Canucks drop day, and the team is looking really good. Incredible years from our core. Lovely to see. And I think Pettersson will hit the franchise record for points. I think he's about 40 points out from that. I'll go back in the record book to refresh our memories. But Gavin giving that prediction there. With Tippett falling off, Pettersson might be the new Mr. Consistency of, 80 kind of point guy, no matter whether he's first line, second line. Moving on, I am so done with Tom Goldman, our 4th line centerman, and would be okay with seeing struggling prospects like Quint, Brown, etc. in our system move out in a deal for a rental. We're having such a good year, I think it would be a waste to not go all in on this incredible production. You don't win back-to-back cups by accident. You need to take risks to win big, and we could use another top 6er if we move Tippett down. Texier and Heidel are my favorite options. They're cheap on cost, and they could be players who push us over the top. With the top line looking the same, not touching the first line, this could leave the lineup looking like Ratu, Pettersson, and Texier or Heidel on the second line, Montoya, Rasmussen, Tippett on the 3rd, Beaulieu, Tyupkin, Ratu on the 4th. That's with Goldman moving out as well. That's the best bottom 9, I would say, or at least if Gavin's saying top 9, but regardless, top 9 or bottom 9 in the league right there, and would push us closer to the top. But I'm just thinking out loud here. Anyways, in data we trust, and thank you for the consistent streams and vids. Have a great day and go nuts. Very kind words. Thank you, Gavin. Appreciate you saying so. And that is probably the most extreme of thoughts from the last one. Many comments saying, don't touch anything just yet. We're doing great. And I think there's a balance of both of that. At the halfway point, I'm not going to go out and make a splash for Heidel or Texier, but I'm giving Tippett the chance right now. A little extra, well, not extra, but let's try him as the finisher on the second unit power play. Let's see if exiting the franchise mode and opening up the file again gives Tippett any sort of boost in production in that sense. But aside from that, Tippett has to prove for himself that he can do it, and we don't have to go out and get somebody else. It's not like we would be trading him because he still has 3 more years on a $6 million extension that we had given him. I'm assuming some sort of no movement clause would be involved. And as the best team in the NHL, there's no way Tippett would want to be leaving, but that doesn't mean we can't bump him down the lineup. So Tippett has to prove himself the next 20 games or so. He has 23 points in 41 games. I'd want to see him hit maybe 40 and 60-ish by the time we hit the deadline if he's going to stay in that second line role. So we'll wait and see. No big move to make just yet, but Gavin raises a great point that if we were to get someone to be in the top 6, it would probably be that Heidel or Texas kind of option. And that kind of goes into Andrew's comment here. Andrew says, if it was me in the situation, I would do a rental for another deep playoff run, and I would trade Tippett and Bouillon for said rental. So again, while the idea makes a lot of sense, Bouillon's not being used, Tippett is here on the second line, not producing as much. Keeping the realism factor in mind and knowing that we can just bump down Tippett instead of fully trading him out if we're to bring in a rental. I don't think we can move him right now, but Bouillon would be movable. As Andrew goes on to say at the bottom of the comment, we should try to find a team who has room for Bouillon so he won't be buried like he is being right now. So I definitely want to see more from Bouillon in the next 20 games or so. We've only played him for 10, but he's looked okay in those 10. It's just been hard to take him out when the current 6 has been so solid, and the team as a whole is just firing on all cylinders. But we want to see a bit more from him before we decide on if we're going to move him at this deadline or carry it over to a next offseason kind of question. Because as Luis says, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The teams look extremely solid. The only move I would consider is grabbing an 80 to 78 overall center for depth in case of many forward injuries. That's it. So thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Luis. I think we're saying the same thing in different ways, just that let's wait to the deadline a little bit more so we can get a better idea. Because really touching anything at this point at a pace of 64 wins would be hard to rationalize at the same time. While I agree with the arguments, I just want to see more. And Kieran says the same thing. Personally, I wouldn't touch anything. There's a couple of different interesting trade options, but if it ain't broke... As for the defense and goaltending, it's easier to have an idea who starts and who's scratched, but not essential. We're winning, and I don't really care who starts what game. Finally, great contract for Lundqvist, and he's paying it back already. Well said, Kieran. Thank you very much. And we'll finish it off over with Cheating Heel, who said, this team is firing on all cylinders. What a start to the season. If we want to give more ice time and see an increase of production for some of our young D-men, we could get them on the power play. That's exactly what we did. Rasmussen came out, Wallace went in. We also might as well extend Arvidsson for 2 years with his demand being crazy and hope that his demands go down for the next contract. We'll go check that out in just a moment. Not sure there's an upgrade for us on the block. Anyway, I wouldn't want to mess up the chemistry of the team the way it's performing, unless we want to do a swap of prospects if we have some we're losing faith in. I think we do. Or if we want an insurance policy in case of injury in goals, in terms of goal scoring, I'd stay as is. Great job so far. Let's see if we can keep this pace for the rest of the season and the playoffs go nuts. Thank you, Cheating Heel. So yes, the one extension that we will look at the start of this episode will be to Stefan Arvidsson. The money he wants is incredibly astronomical. So if we look at 1 year, $9.3 million. For a rookie, 80 overall, who's on a 37-point pace, he wants $9.3 million. What's the exact pace that he's on again? He has, he's on 34-point pace. What am I saying even? 34-point pace. So he wants $9 million. 2 years, 9.8. 8 years, he wants $12.8 million. So that's just the game being broken. But at the same time, offensive defensemen command a lot more into the 2030s. So 2 years at 4.625 wouldn't be crazy. Keep in mind, even though he's an 80 overall, he is playing like 21 minutes per night. It's not just about the point production. So 4.625, 85% brings it down to 3.93. I'd go 2 years, $4 million. I don't think that's too crazy for a top 4 defenseman, especially if we're keeping him at left D on the second pairing for the next couple of years. $4 million is not a bad contract. But the problem would be if he says no, we're definitely not giving him $9 million. And even if he does say yes, in 2 years, we might be faced with this exact same question. So 2 years, $4 million, we'll send it. If that means he stays, that leaves a couple spots. You know, if Hannafin leaves, maybe Bouillon slots in, back in next year as a full-timer again. Hard to really say exactly. But I've done enough talking just to say that basically we're not touching anything at this point. All of this was just to have our game plan in mind as we start to see what this team gives us in the second half and what certain players will have to show us to keep from making those deadline moves that we're considering. So all that being said, let's move into game 42, beginning the second half of the season. here with the Canucks. We're on the road in Tampa Bay facing the Lightning. Let's go ahead and simulate through the first game of this episode to get win number 33 and continue our pace for 64. First shot of the game goes in from Blankenburg, but we answer back. Lundqvist short-handed, and Markstrom even strength. Just what, his 12th goal of the season? 2-1 Canucks after 22nd period, make that 3-2 as the Lightning answer back with two of their own, Lehkonen, and then Blankenburg scores his second. I'm sure that's his first multi-goal game in years. 3-2 Lightning after 40. We're down by 1, power play Tampa. Quinn Hughes with our second shorthanded goal of the game, and we tie this game at 3. Tampa on the power play. Can we get another one here? Extended 5-on-3, 5-on-4. Huge penalty kill there to keep this game tied. We're out shooting, and there's Jonathan Lekkerimäki putting us up by 1. Just 2 goals back and forth. Power play Lightning killed off. Final minute. And we'll hang on for the victory. Shots end 36-29. Way too many penalties here. Oh my goodness. Tripping, interference, slashing, holding. And all of these were right back to back. Whew, but we hang on for the 4-3 victory with a tight win in the third. Lundqvist with a goal and 2 assists. Blankenburg 2 goals, of course. And Jonathan Lekkerimäki with the game-winning goal, making it third star honors with a goal and an assist. All right, so there's a 4-3 victory. Let's keep on simulating. I'm going to sim until the next scouting assignment has to go out. Easy decision to re-sign from Stefan Arvidsson. All right. I'm glad. I really appreciate you offering me such a generous contract compared to my expectations. Let me guess. The AI would have taken 50% of that. It's right at 85%. And he's calling it, I don't know. Would it have gone down? Would that 2-year glitch of only wanting 4 versus 1.9 and 8, 12.8, would that have gone away? I don't know. So he couldn't risk it. And then he wants $9 million and we lose him for nothing. Yeah, actually, it would have been an RFA, but still, he wouldn't have had much value as an 80 overall. So the Devils offer us Texier. The Rangers offer us Heidel. We're going to keep those in mind. 4-3 loss, 3-2 loss, 4-2 win, 4-2 win. Yep, thank you, scouting. St. Louis 2-1 win. Edmonton 6-3 win, and one more 6-4 win against the Jets. 38-9-2 is our record, as I'll just go update the scouting reports. All right, scouting's taken care of. Any games we like here in February? Maple Leafs, Canadians. Canadians are 31-16-2. Let's go see Stefan Markstrom's old team, the Canadians. Let's host them in a few weeks' time. 5-4 loss to the Flames. Oliver Moore in a third. No, thank you. 5-4 loss on the road. 3-2 win on the road in the shootout. 2-0 loss in Nashville versus the Predators. All-star break here. We're back hosting the Flames after it. 3-1 loss. A lot of trades being offered to us that aren't super interesting on the road for the Rangers, and then the Devils back-to-back here. 4-3 loss, 5-3 loss. Yikes. So the game did not like us since we got back into the save file. Unfortunately, that's just the way it goes sometimes. Still, that's win number 40. We'll take it. Cale Clegg on waivers, 78 overall. We have a lot of defense on this team, so I'm going to go ahead and decline that for the moment. Bowmake, mild concussion, replacing the AHL. On the road, 5-4 shootout win. No, thank you. Now, here we are against the Canadians. So we're 41-14-2. Still a fine record. I don't mean to complain or anything. Just not the same type of pace that we were seeing previously. Lundqvist, how's he looking? 68 points. Slowing down a little bit. Now on a pace below 100 points. Okay. Let's go to defense now. So if we want to get Bouillon in here, first pair is not being touched. Arvidsson, 8 goals, 18 assists, plus 19. Dobson, incredible. Maybe Hanifin needs a little bit of a break here in his older age at 35 years old. Let's take him out and put Bouillon playing with Wallace on the third pair. Let's get Bouillon some games in here. Let's do it. If we swap AHL, NHL, does that do away with it? No, still. So that is a true -2, I think, as 2 dashes with both being offensive defensemen. Let's give Maxime Bouillon some games, and we'll see what he does here. Hosting the Montreal Canadiens, Stefan Markstrom's old team, now as he plays his first-line center. Let's do it. Looking for win number 41. First period, 4-0. There he is! Bouillon, in his first game back, scores on Swayman! And then he scores again, I didn't even realize! 2 goals from Bouillon! Bienvenue, welcome back! And even Wallace, his defensive partner, scores. Vasily Podkolzin gets one in there too. 4-0 after 20. Second period, 5-1. Owen Tippett, thank you very much. Mathieu Joseph scoring the lone goal. Makes sense that he's on the Canadiens. 5-1 Vancouver after 40. That's the effort that we needed to see after a few tight losses in a row. Power play Canucks here. That's a power play goal from Lundqvist. He's getting close to 40 goals at this point. Let's call it there. And it ends 7-1, the final. Lekkerimäki making it 7 goals on 39 shots. Bouillon not even getting any stars. A goal and 2 assists from Lundqvist for first star. Jones 32 saves, and Lekkerimäki also a goal and 2 assists. But Bouillon cannot be understated. 2 goals in just 12:08 of ice time, +3, 3 shots on net. Anything else out here? Nothing. Great. Love it. Maxim. Let's keep him in the lineup for a little bit, of course. 7-1 victory. Let's keep on rolling. That was goal number 38 for Lundqvist as well. As we'll continue this Eastern Conference month of February here, starting with the Rangers and going all the way from the 10th to the 29th, all just Eastern Conference games. So we'll move into March with a couple games for the deadline. Let's see how Bouillon does with a full-time spot. Pulled groin. Going to keep Lekaramäki out for a week and a half or so. All right, so here's Tippett's chance. Tippett will move up to the first line. Let's see Montoya with Ratu and Pettersson. Why not? And then Tupkin will get his chance back on the... Actually, no, we'll swap like this. Tupkin goes center because he has better face-off attributes. Beaulieu, Goldman, and then we'll have Ratu slot in. So actually, Montoya is going to slot in. So what we'll have is Ratu slots in for Montoya, and then Montoya will slot in for Lekaramäki. A little boost of ice time for him playing second line with Ratu and Pettersson. So there you have it. Dylan Montoya is going to slot in there. And defense, we'll keep it like this with the -2, no problem. Wallace up to an 82 overall, by the way. Jones and Muller. He's still... Okay, he's played 9 games now. Okay, he's been appearing in a few more. And Ratu in on the 4th line with Goldman and Beaulieu. Bomick fully healthy down in the AHL. All right, back to simulating. Exit the sim. Go back. 4-2 loss, 4-2 win. Devils are 35, 17, and 7. Getting Alex Texier probably wouldn't make sense, but I still have thoughts for Philip Heidel there. 3-1 loss at home, and then a 5-2 win as well. All right, 2 games before the deadline. 44, 16-2, I think, is our record, as Lekaramäki will come back. So Montoya, 24 points. All right, he's looking okay. He was on, what, like a 28-point pace? Was that it? Something along those lines? So at least that seems to be an improvement. Lekaramäki will go back there. Tippett, I'll save it for a surprise. We'll look at his numbers momentarily. Tupkin, let's try and keep Tupkin on the 3rd line. Let's try that, but on the 4th, we'll probably put Pitkolzin. Okay, let's try this. Let's do it like that. Okay, no problem. And Bouillon, 4 goals, 2 assists. So he scored just those 2 goals, offensively. But a +6, playing close to 15 minutes per night. Okay, so let's go. One more game. We'll watch this next one against Buffalo. Calgary, 3-0 shutout victory for win number 45. All right, and one more here against the Buffalo Sabres. We're at 36, 19, and 4. Our expansion brothers. First period, 2-1 Canucks. Lundqvist opens it up. Then Owen Tippett. All right. And Middlestat gets 1 past Rainer Muller. Second period, 3-1 at Ratu on Caden Primo. Being outshot 21-19, but we have a 2-goal lead with 15 minutes to go here in the 3rd period. Power play Vancouver to extend that lead. Extended 5-on-3 opportunity, but a huge kill by the Sabres as they're still down by 2. Maybe have momentum shifting back in their favor. 5 minutes to go, but no. Quinn Hughes will end any inklings of those thoughts. 4-1 Canucks the final. Shots end 30-28 in our favor as we take another victory. Tippett a goal and an assist. Rainer Muller with 27 saves. And Lundqvist had a goal on top of all that. Was it the game winner as well? So here at the deadline, Kravchenko, no problem. We can do that in the AHL. At the deadline, we hold a record of 46, 16, and 2. Let's take a quick moment to check things out. As Lundqvist hit 40 goals there, now 74 points. The pace has definitely slowed down, unfortunately, but we're still very happy with what he's doing. How is the power play looking? I definitely want to see that. Goals for, goals against, and all that. So the points percentage has gone down from like 80 point something to 73.4. Goals for per game is now tied for 3rd highest in the league. Goals against is best, okay, at 2.67. Power play has even gone down to 18%. It was at 19 point something, now down to 18%. Ugh. And penalty kill has gone up to 80. Or was that always 86 point? Now it's, instead of being 4th best in the league, it is 2nd best in the league. So power play would still probably need something. Lundqvist 74, Markstrom 69, Hughes 67, Pettersson 63. That's 4 point per game, or 3 point per game plus players. Pettersson not far behind. Lekaramäki not far behind, 58 and 61. Ratu 52, Dobson 43 with a +39. Owen Tippett, I said I wanted to see, what, close to 40, 45? Is it 9 goals and 7 assists that he got in the last 23 games? So that's really not too bad for Owen Tippett. Arvidsson 28 and a +22. Montoya 25. Rasmussen 25. Pitkolzin, Tupkin. Goldman, he's picked it up a little bit. He was on pace for 2 goals. Now he's got 4 on the year. Hronek 12 points +10. Wallace 11 points. He's now averaging 14:40 of ice time. Hannafin, he's been out for a little bit. Bouillon 6 points +6. Beaulieu and Bouillon, got those 2 there. and Ratu had no points, -1 in 3 games. Goaltending, Hunter Jones, 38, 16, and 2 with 6 shutouts. And Muller's numbers have improved. Very nice. 8-0. No losses for him on the year here in his rookie season. Okay, so I can't say that these numbers especially make me think that we have to bring in a Philip Heidel. I'll still do the due diligence, but it's hard to really rationalize much changing on a 46-win squad. Let me take a look around the NHL, and I'll come back with anything that interests me. So doing the due diligence, there is one name that comes up. We've been thinking about the Texiers, the Heidels, the higher-end players who would slot into a top 6 role and bump down an Owen Tippett. But what about a player who comes in as a middle sixer, like a real middle sixer, not an 89 overall kind of guy, who will supplement secondary scoring as a third liner, and then can bump up to second line maybe, but doesn't force us to have to push down Tippett. Tippett can stay second line, but we have a third line scoring option, as opposed to saying who are our options. It's only Rasmussen or Montoya, and that also gives us a lot of support if there's any injury trouble that comes in. So that being said, over the New York Islanders, there is a player who speaks to me, one who we've considered in years past, and that's another Swede in Philip Forsberg. 83 overall, 37 years old, expiring $5.5 million deal on a losing Islanders squad. 20 goals and 51 points in 61 games so far this season. I think picking up Forsberg would make a lot of sense because we'd be dumping younger players. The Canucks want that. We'd be bringing in a player who can score on the third line but also move up to the second line if needed. Not that an 89 overall like Heidel playing 22 minutes now gets, boom, 12 minutes and it doesn't make any sense. Forsberg can come in, wants to leave the losing team. He's on the trade block. And what do the Islanders want back? Young pieces who are looking to potentially move out for the last few years even. The Gustavo Kellys and the Cody Browns of the world. So if that is the deal that we're looking at, we go down to the bottom here. I think first and foremost, 77 overall, 24 years old, Gustavo Kelly, gone. Who else would be there? Yuri Frolov, 76, 24, low top 6, gone. These players who have run their course, we've given them their chance, they are yet to grow, it's time to cut them loose. And one more would probably be Cody Brown. Probably the one of all of them has the best chance to grow, but still, 77 out of the draft in 2027. It's 2032, he hasn't grown in overall. So let's throw Cody Brown in there. I give you 3 prospects. Cody Brown, Yuri Frolov, and Gustavo Kelly. Decent potential, and 3 for 1 is more that I just want to dump these guys. I'm not going to take back a second round pick or anything, but I think I could take back a little value, and it would make sense still. And I could still rationalize taking back a little bit of value. So how does a 4th and a 7th sound? Your 4th and the Canadian 7th. How does that sound for you, New York? A 4th and a 7th with Philip Forsberg coming to Vancouver, another Swede in the system, building the Swedish Olympic team here for Kelly, Frolov, and Brown, guys we just want to cut loose. Islanders, what do you say to this? And they would accept it. Let's do it. Thank you very much, New York Islanders organization. I accept your trade offer. We'll see you out on the ice. All right, so a huge move right there for the third line scoring. Not necessarily forcing Tippett to be bumped down, but holding on to the idea that Forsberg could slot up if needed. So I'll go ahead and fix up the lines, and we'll see how we look headed into the final 20 games or so of the season. And there we go. Philip Forsberg slotting onto the third line, let's say with Rasmussen and Montoya. Podkolzin, Goldman, and Tupkin can play on the fourth line. And in the game sent down Beaulieu. So Beaulieu and Ratu would be the forwards. Lebedev and Hanifin as the defense. Would it make sense to trade one of those out? Hard to say. Down in the AHL, there's a lot of lines that have to be fixed over here. And like I just said, we sent down Raphael Beaulieu, who was doing okay. But it's not the end of the world to send him down. 5 points, -3, 93 penalty minutes. I don't think it would be the end of the world to send him down. He had a good rookie season. We'll see him again next year type of thing. Plus, the AHL needs bodies right now. So I think it's okay to do that. So, okay, hold on. Let me just fix these quickly. Okay, that works. And back in the NHL. Yeah, so keep the NHL as it is with the scratches and, yeah, with the extra forwards and defense there. Okay, so there we have it. And Philip Forsberg will also play second unit power play. I think we'll take out Arvidsson. The guy's playing like 21 minutes per night. Let's take out Arvidsson, make Wallace the distributor on the second unit, put Ratu back at the point with his crazy shot power, and then allow Forsberg to play on the... Actually, it's a right-handed shot, eh? But still, I want to have him in there. The guy is on a great pace this season, 51 points, playing 20-plus minutes, playing 20 minutes a night. I don't want to have him only third line. I want to see him a little bit of power play as well. So there are other options we were thinking about, like we said, Heidel and Texier, even Nick Robertson from the Maple Leafs was being considered in the Discord server. Robertson had 4 years left on his contract. Texier Texier was on a good team in the Devils, almost a 40-win team. Heidel being an 89 overall would have definitely bumped down Owen Tippett, who has been doing a bit better. I don't mind the option for all the reasons that I laid out in bringing in the third-line scorer who can bump up in Philip Forsberg. So that being said, there's our one deadline deal. We move out a few stagnating prospects. We bring back some value, a 4th and a 7th, no problem. And we'll move up to the trade deadline itself now. We'll sim through it and get through this game against the Avalanche. As the Maple Leafs trade Willie Nylander, a 2nd and a 7th to the Carolina Hurricanes for Jake Sanderson and a 7th. Whoa. That's a crazy blockbuster right there. Any other trades around the league? Let's see it. Okay, so Thomas Harley to Winnipeg. Jake Sanderson, like we saw there. Connor Timmins to the Blue Jackets. Ryan Lindgren to the Blue Jackets as well. Luke Evangelista to the Bruins. Cole Perfetti also to the Bruins. Valimaki to the Jets. Tyler Madden, channel legend. David Yurchek to the Lightning. And there you go, Yuri Zubov, who we had as well, one of our prospects. He was in a trade there. So here we go, first game with Philip Forsberg as a member of our organization, another Swedish member to join the squad. They're loving it in the locker room, just some Swedish pop playing between the periods. Here we go, first period, 0-0 after 20. Second period now, 1-1. Rantanen scoring on the power play, then Lundqvist on Sebastian Kosa. Shots 24-23 through 40. It's a 1 for the Avalanche. 1-1 game into the third and final period. Power play Colorado killed off by the Canucks. I could see actually a home power play for the Vancouver Canucks killed off. I could see Forsberg making the penalty kill even as a two-way forward. Into the final 5 minutes, both goalies standing tall with 2 minutes to go now. It's Tulipov! Could that be the winner? No, it's Aatu Ratu with 1 second left! Aatu Ratu ties it! 37-34, the shots end in our favor with 1 second left. Rocket Ratu sends it to overtime. Now in the 3-on-3 action, can it be for an extra point? Can we get one more? Yes, we can! Markstrom wins it in overtime! What an effort from this team. What a monumental effort. And Ty Carty on waivers. Great power forward. He'd be solid, but we have Beaulieu, we have Ratu. We don't need him. Wouldn't make a lot of sense. And he's also just a two-way forward, really. He plays a physical game. But no, we'll decline that. Oh, boy. Great way to start the Philip Forsberg era. How did he do in that one game? I forgot to check out the stats. And he also has that X factor, which is helpful. Philip Forsberg was a -1 with 3 shots and 12:49 of ice time. Lovely. And by the way, his line fits look like this. Great fit on the first line. So-so on the second and third. Okay. Continuing on into the calendar sim now, moving towards the end of the year. Just simming into the next couple of weeks. Let's do it here, facing the Wild in a back-to-back there. Perfect. Well, back-to-back games on the road, 4-2 win before we lose 4-3 against the Stars. Okay, that's back to it. Exit, go back. There you have it. All right, so that 4-3 win, a 4-3 loss, on the road, like I said. Then a 4-2 loss and a 4-3 loss. Woo! Allowing just 4 goals per game and always losing by 1. 4-3, 4-2, 4-3. Come on now. 2 wins away from 50. Let's keep on simulating. Can we get it here against Vegas? A couple games against them coming up. Can we do it here first at home and then on the road? Central Scouting, thank you very much. 8-3 win. That's how you answer the call. There you go. Thank you very much. And on the road in Vegas, 6-3 loss. Let's keep on going. Looking for win 50. There it is. 4-2 win on the road against the Coyotes. 3-1 win. 5-3 win. My eyes playing tricks on me. Then a 7-3 win. Thank you very much. Let's keep going to the end of the year. No need to stop. Let's see. Probably the Oilers to end the season. I think at this point, yeah, let's go to the end of the year. No reason to stop. On the road against Edmonton, 6-4 win. Parazokin fully healed in the AHL. Thank you very much. Then you got to switch AHL, NHL. We're 37-24-4 down in the AHL. 5-3 loss there against Dallas. We won't hit 64 wins, but we can still get into the high 50s. Let's keep on going here. On the road against the Wild, then the Flames, and we ended at home for the next, actually 4-2 loss, 7-2 win, 2 at home, then 1 on the road. 3-1 win against the Kraken, and a 6-3 win against the Kings. Looking for win number 58 now, which would just further extend our franchise record season. The best that we've done is 53. The Canucks franchise record is 54. So we're either finishing with 57 or 58 franchise record, but I'd love to get one more here and push it just a little bit further. On the road here against the Oilers, they're just above 500. Let's end it off on a high note, headed into the postseason, hopefully as President's Trophy winners. First period, 2-2 after 20. Lundqvist shorthanded. Moore and McDavid make it 2-1, but then Michael Rasmussen ties it at 2. Second period now, woo! 5-4 Oilers. Oh my goodness. Tyupkin and Hronek shorthanded make it 4-2. Then Bertuzzi power play, Yamamoto and McDavid second make it 5-4 Oilers. Shots are 26-25 in our favor. 51 shots taken, 9 goals scored. Thompson and Muller neither looking super solid through 2 periods, but we're just down by 1 here in the third. We've scored 4 in 40. Let's get a couple more here. Third period action. Of course, now it's going to be a silent period after 9 goals in 2 periods, right? Power play Oilers now. We've been getting good shorthanded goals, but Moore scores on the power play. That's a 6th goal past Rainer Muller. 5 minutes to go. And do we have a couple more in us? I don't think so. Unfortunately, we'll drop the season finale, 6-4 the final, outshooting Edmonton 39-36 to end it with a 57-win year. Oliver Moore 2 goals and 2 assists, McDavid 2 goals. At least we won't see them in the postseason this year, but they get their 38th win in the season. 57-23-2 is our record in the end. We had no overtime or shootout losses in the second half of the season, but instead of 14 losses, we end with 23. Instead of 64 wins, we end with 57. Definitely not the end of the world, but unfortunately we couldn't hit 60. It would have been fun to hit 60 after that crazy pace, but I'm still very happy with 57, which is a new franchise record. Everyone's played 82 games now, and we'll see, is that our second President's Trophy in our time with Vancouver through 9 years? Yes, it is, by 8 points and by a good number of wins as well. We finished number 1 in the NHL with 57-23-2 being our record. 3.8 goals for per game put us second in the league, and 2.8 goals against. That increased over time, is also second best in the league, as the Devils were number 1 for goals for and goals against with the second best record in the NHL. Power play improved to 20.4%. That's very good to see. Still not amongst the best, but okay, we'll still take top 12. Actually 11th best in the league. Yeah, we'll take that, no problem. And penalty kill, dropped to 83.4. That's a big drop actually. In the last 20 games, it dropped like 3%. Still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th best in the NHL. Still, it's a down year for everybody, it seems like. But that's a big drop for such a small sample size. Frederick Lundqvist did hit 100 points. Let's go. His pace has slowed down to be like 97, but he picks it back up a little bit. Doesn't hit 66 goals, but I'll take 54 goals and 100 points. Don't mind if I do. Markstrom ends with 90, so he doesn't quite get to 100. But Elias Pettersson with 85, you love to see that. Quinn Hughes 85 as well. We haven't seen that in many, many years now, since like 2025-26. So lovely to see him back in that range. Lekaramaki 75 and 79. Philip Forsberg, what did he do with the Canucks? He scored, what? 9 goals and 17 points in 18 games. +2, 1 minor penalty, 3 power play points, averaging just 12:41 of ice time. Let's go. The Swedish Meatballs won another cup. 17 points in 18 games, almost point per game since joining the squad. Wow. Ratu slowed down. He didn't hit 70. 61 is still great, but it's unfortunate. Meanwhile, Dobson turned up the heat with 60 points for his year, +52 as well. Owen Tippett ends with 44 points, which is even less than he was on pace for, right, in the end? So I would think heading into the postseason, maybe Forsberg moves up and Tippett moves down. I think that might be what the doctor ordered. Rasmussen 35, Arvidsson ends with 34, good rookie season. Montoya 31, good rookie season as well. Podkolzin 30, Tyupkin 25, Goldman 23, Hronek 20 points +19. Wallace 13-point rookie season, averaging 15 minutes per night. Bouillon ends with 11 points in 35 games. You know, it's a 26-point pace, which would have been a career high, so it's not horrible from Maxime Bouillon, who was playing 14.5 minutes per night in those 35 games. Hanifin, 9 points, -5. What do we do on defense? That's going to be a big question for the postseason. Who's in on defense? And goaltending, Hunter Jones ends with a 48-win season. 48-21-2 with 6 shutouts, a .913 save percentage, and 2.71 goals against. While Rainer Muller had a tough end to the year. He was, 8-0, 9-0? He ends 9-3. 898 save percentage, 3.09 goals against average. Looking in the entire NHL now, are we hoping for any hardware? Brennan McLeod, 63 goals and 122 points. Wow, so barely even seeing Lundqvist's name down there. He ends third in the NHL in goals with 54. Great season, but unfortunately just not quite amongst the absolute best of the NHL, cream of the crop. We're still happy with that, though, amongst the top 10. How about defense, though? Quinn Hughes led the league in goal scoring, point scoring, I should say. Lane Hudson not too far behind with 80 points, but you'd think that's another Norris Trophy with a +47 as well for Quinn Hughes. And goaltending, will it be a Vezina for Hunter Jones? 48 wins. Pretty good numbers. We look at minimum, 50 games played. Sorting by save percentage. So Hunter Jones will be tied for third in save percentage. and his goals against average would be tied for second. So with the 48 wins, does that get him the Vezina, or does Annunen have it? 41 wins, 7 less, 1 more shutout, slightly better in the save percentage, better goals against average as well. I might lean Annunen, but Hunter Jones should be first runner-up at the very least. Speaking of points and all that, we want to check out the record book. I had said at the start of the episode that we would take another peek at it, but I knew that it was around 40 points that Elias Pettersson needed. Did he break, speaking of franchise records, did he break those records that he was out to set? Yes, for the goals he did, but for the points he's still down by 5. All right, so Elias Pettersson, now the all-time leading goal scorer in Canucks history with 408. I think this is the first Canuck to ever hit 400 goals scored as well, but he's just 5 points behind Henrik Sedin for the all-time lead, which he should be able to get next season. So he didn't break it, but there's still one record he now holds as the all-time leading goal scorer in franchise history. In a season in which we won the most games in franchise history, we're happy to see that. Moving into the postseason, where in round number 1, we will be facing the St. Louis Blues. All right, so the Blues will be our round 1 opponents. They went 44, 31, and 7. And you know what? The last time we faced the Blues was in year number 4, the only other season in which we won the President's Trophy. We were up 3 games to 2 or 3 games to 1 even, and we lost in round number 1 in 7 games to St. Louis. So some parallels here. Win the President's Trophy, face St. Louis in round 1. Last time we did it in year number 4, we choked it in a 7-game series, but could we come back and have some redemption this time in 2032? Caleb Brewer, Berkeley Catton, and Pavel Buchnevich on the top line here in St. Louis. Berkeley Catton was, what, second in league scoring, 111 points? Mr. Playmaker, my goodness. Pittsburgh Penguins legend in NHL 23. So Caleb Brewer also 6th overall pick in 2027. So Brewer, Catton, Buchnevich on the first line. Snuggerud, Barlow, Boisclair on the second. Suzdalev, Cardwell, Kyrou on the third. Svakovsky, Shaw, Colton Dock on the fourth. Defense, it's Tom Couturier, 8th overall pick in 2030 with Nikita Zadorov. Andre and Verhervery on the second pair, Werenski with Lindstein on the third pair. Goaltending, it's Trey Augustine backed up by Karol Vejmelka, 86 overall, who was 38, 24, and 7 on the season. I mean, any healthy scratches here, injuries, Turnbull and Middleton. So, and extremely, honestly, just looking at the numbers, an extremely unimpressive lineup, but that doesn't really mean anything in EA land. Second line center, 80 overall. No one in the bottom 6 who's higher than an 81 aside from Kyrou, mostly 79s, more 79s than 80 pluses. The first line is scary, but everything else, is it just Catton who's carrying this team? The defense, everyone between 80 and 83 overall. Nothing too scary there either. Zadorov. Okay, so we should definitely be a little bit scared because we know what St. Louis did to us last time we faced them. Different team, but still. Year number 4, 5 years later now in year number 9. We've won another President's Trophy, and now once again we're facing the St. Louis Blues. So heading into the postseason, what changes have to be made to this team to make sure that we are as competitive as possible, trying to achieve our 3rd Stanley Cup and our first ever back-to-back in this franchise mode? Are we bumping up Forsberg and moving down Owen Tippett perhaps? It would give a +1. Instead of +1-0, it would be 0+1 between the second and third line. Are we making any other changes forward-wise? Vasily Postseason Podkolzin, Mr. Playoffs, does he get bumped up for some reason? And the game took away his born leader X factor. That's the game. If you add yourself, the game will take away. That's at least good to know, but come on. So Podkolzin will add him back, his born leader X factor, heading into the postseason. Do we bump him up? Tippett comes down here. Maybe something like this for the playoffs? That could be a possibility. So let me know your thoughts on the forwards down here in the comments. On top of the defense, do we roll with these 3 pairings, or do we say, okay, Noah Hannafin, he has the experience, he has the 2 rings, we got to bring him in as well. Who of Arvidsson, Bouillon, Wallace gets bumped out is essentially what I'm asking. Hughes, Hronik, Dobson stay, but of Arvidsson, Bouillon, Wallace, Hannafin, Lebedev, I'm not so sure, but of the 4 for those 3 spots, who's getting bumped out? Would Lebedev even see the light of day in the postseason? I don't know. Ratu would also be 13th forward. Yeah. So a few questions there. Maybe we think about the penalty kill. Keep that in mind. Maybe Philip Forsberg gets put onto a unit. There's unit number 1, unit number 2, unit number 3. Maybe Tupkin comes out. Lundqvist bumps up. Goldman moves out, Rasmussen goes in. I could see a few ideas there. Philip Forsberg is a two-way forward, only 3-star defense, but he seems to be a player who sims well when he's on the ice. So putting him out there wouldn't be a detrimental thing. And that would just about do it. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching the second half of year number 9 here in Vancouver. It was a great second half, not as great of a pace as the first half, but that was a hard pace to match. I'll still happily accept a 57-23-2 season, a new franchise record in points. Now the question will be, how do we make sure that we make this postseason run a deep one to go back-to-back and win our third Stanley Cup in 9 years with this franchise and truly say that this is becoming a dynasty. So once again, thanks for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and of course, subscribe if you haven't already for all of our ongoing series here on the channel, live Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursday evenings at 7 p.m. Eastern, on top of our career sims, our franchise mode here with Vancouver, and much, much more, postseason breakdowns, analyses of the real-world 2024 NHL postseason. So if you've been watching and lurking in the shadows and you haven't subscribed yet, now would be a great time to do it. Doesn't cost you anything, doesn't give me anything. It just makes sure that you are made aware of when those uploads go up. So I'm looking forward to the postseason. I hope that you are as well. But what I'm looking forward to even more than that is seeing you once again in the next one.